Hello, and welcome back to day 2 of AIM's AI and HR Week. It's so exciting, and we're so happy to have you here. So, did you use AAIME Hart yesterday? I really hope that you did. I hope that you saw how beneficial and easy it was to use. And hopefully we started moving maybe just a tad past that tasking into a little bit more strategy with that prompt guide. So we are really excited to have been able to launch this. Again, we'll be using it all week. But I think what excites me most is that while we do keep many of those resources held for our membership, our AIM members, this is something we just thought was too important not to release out in the wild and not gatekeep. So we're thrilled to have it out there. Please use it. Tell your HR friends. It is free for anyone to use, and we are just excited to help and support our HR community. So let's transition into day 2. I feel a little bit like Oprah. You get a development plan. You get a development plan. But that's what we're talking about today. So as someone who leads people, as someone who is also a trainer, it's really difficult to develop customized development plans. It almost feels like an unrealistic, lofty goal if you work in a smaller organization. Big organizations, sometimes we have a little bit more time and resource to do that. Smaller ones, it's a little tough because it's very manual. So a couple thoughts on this. Number one, we do know that people are staying in their jobs if there is development offered to them, especially our younger generations who really, really need it. So with that in mind, we've got this generation coming up who's saying, if you develop me, I will stay. Meanwhile, we've got the silver tsunami coming through of mass retirements, all of this knowledge just going out the window, and we need to find a way to kind of bring this stuff together. So that in and of itself is really difficult, but then how do I do it en masse? How do I scale this beyond just, okay, I've got this one high potential person in my company and that's the only one I can do this type of a plan for? Well, that's not very fair and it's not helping our organization. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna use AAIME Hart to start with a single example, but this is something we can build to scale with the help of AI. Customized development plans. They're so important. They can be so time consuming and so difficult. We've made it incredibly easy. So in just a minute, I'm going to kick us over to the demo, but here is your task, your challenge for the day. I want you to think of one person, just one. We're going to start easy, just one. Either a high potential, an emerging leader, someone who you think, I need to start there. What I want you to do is go gather any assessment that you have on them, go gather any feedback from their manager, any performance reviews, anything that we could possibly feed into the bot to give it a better understanding of who they are, and then also provide it where you want to see them go or where they've told you that they want to go. Gosh, that's even better. I hope you have that information. So what we're going to do is through the prompting guide that we're providing you in my little demo, we're going to start with what we know and ask it to build a development plan. What you're going to see is not only how quickly it does it, but it can think about things that we might not have thought of ourselves or some different things that can enrich that development for them. So stick along with us, get back on AAIME Hart, go follow the prompting guide in the demo, and we will see you tomorrow. All right, so now we are going to go ahead and use AAIME Hart for those development purposes. So what I have done is kind of pull together information on a sample employee and a sample company. So I'm going to go ahead and paste that information in as we utilize these prompts. So the first thing I'm going to do is use that beginner prompt. For this one, we're going to build. So I'm going to use the beginner prompt as act as an HR coach, help me build a plan, based on this basic info, which I'm going to paste down here, help me to outline the areas of development. So next thing I'm going to do is input the information I have for my individual who needs development. So this is a production supervisor. They've been here 7 years. We've talked about their strengths, and then we are moving towards their development areas and what they're looking to become. So they want to move from a production supervisor into an area manager in the next year and a half. I've given a little bit of information on a company. We've gone with a manufacturing company here in the Midwest, and just given a few bits of information about how we like to operate. So I'm giving it this information, and we are going to to work on a development plan outline for Alex Johnson. And that is something that we can do en masse, but we'll get there in just a minute. So what it is really doing is highlighting what the information I've given it as far as the core strengths that we need to really leverage, and then where we need to work on those development areas. So it's identifying where the area is, but then it's allowing us to see what would be some good action items for us to do. This is a very broad plan. It's not overly detailed, and that's okay. We didn't ask it for an incredibly detailed plan. We just started to draw that outline. So that is what it did. So at this point, it's giving me the options to customize it into a document for leadership, see more example competencies. Let's go ahead and take it to the next step and say, let's make this a more detailed plan, include course recommendations, and have it span the next 6 months. All right, let's see what it comes up with now. So now, because we agreed with this outline, and we could always come through and say, no, change this. We really need to work on that. Let's add this in. This is less important, but let's say it was perfect. What it's going to do now is go ahead and put this into the areas of focus and start giving me my tasks. So we are currently sitting in July 2025, and this is what it is really working through. So it's also giving me some course recommendations. You'll see some from AIM. You'll see some other places, whether it's online or maybe in your community. You could also give it those parameters as well if you have specific things in mind. But this helps us to start taking, okay, we need to improve on this, and putting it as something that's more actionable, something that's more easy to pace and gives us an actual direction. So we're starting this with the orientation and exposure, and then we're moving a little bit more into that communication and then influence and readiness. It is also giving me monthly check-in mentorship. I think we should take a moment to talk about the mentorship. So let's take an extra step before we go to the next prompt. And I'm just going to say, talk to me about mentorship. I think this would be best for Alex. Who should I choose for this? What guidelines maybe? What guidelines or direction could I give him or her? How should I introduce them? Maybe that would be a good one too. All right. So as we're getting this and our results are populating, it's going to help us to identify who would be a good fit. It is giving me that introduction for both, which I think is really great. Gives some expectations and guidelines as to the direction of the mentorship. All super advice here. I love this. Not a substitute for manager feedback or performance management. I completely agree. And then it even says we could do an optional mentorship brief template. So some good stuff here. So now what I think I'm going to do is let's go into more of those deeper prompts. So I'm kicking it up to that expert prompt next. We've kind of already given it the information. We've given it information on our organization, and now we're saying, I'm getting even more specific with that development plan. So it's probably going to be similar to what it created before. I jumped the gun just a little bit. But the formatting might change. It may become a little bit more formalized. It may also have some slightly different recommendations. Oh, what's interesting, and I kind of like this, is it gives us different buckets: training, mentorship, real world applications, manager coaching, and outcomes. I personally really like this. Gives everybody a little bit of something to do, because we know that learning and leadership does not happen in isolation. It takes a village, right? So this allows us to have those key metrics and review points with the dates of when we should be kind of expecting to hit them.
I really like this. So now let's take it to that next step. So what we talked about was how challenging it is. I mean, for one person, we can manage it, right? Even very manually, we could. But now let's think, well, we've got quite a few people maybe in lead roles and in other supervisory roles who want to keep moving up. So I'm going to paste in this last one. I'm going to say, give me paths for the following individual contributors looking to become leads and leads looking to become supervisors, then transitions like Alex is looking for. So that way we can say, okay, I want to take this same type of development concept and I want to break it down into some different variances. So we could do it for, you could do it for really anything, but I'm just curious what would happen if I put them in different paths. It should understand she AAIME Hart should understand the differences and the nuances between these roles. So let's give it a quick shot and see how it goes. Okay, so this has generated it back in that canvas, so I can come in and look for specific edits, make changes. It's more of an editable work format for AAIME for ChatGPT. So what this has done is it has given me those three separate paths. We're going to see those below when I scroll down, and I love that it started out with the assessments. Oh my gosh, we don't care what you're using, but please use something. So we're moving from the assessments into training and development. I love the stretch assignments. Nothing gets people to grow faster than giving them a special project, a point of pride, whatever it may be, that they can stretch their wings a little bit. We've got that mentorship and coaching aspect. We've got the visibility and influence. And then, of course, we got to track everything we're doing. So this has really outlined at a high level what we're going to do for our individual contributors to team leads, leads to supervisors, then supervisors to area managers. Now we can get it even more granular than this and say, okay, now take these and expand them the same way you did the original one. All options, all options. But we can see how this starts to go from just tasks into strategies. We could then say, take this all the way from a new hire, brand new out of the box. I sat down with them after their 30 days and said, well, where do you want to be in 5 years? And help them to build this out. We could even create templates that we utilize with our employees to start building these out extremely personally. But from what we know, I think this is a really great start. So important things would be gathering as much information and context as you have at the jump, and then utilize prompts like what we provided to help give you those development plans and really build that systems thinking procedure.